Hello everyone, welcome back to Trek A Day. And before we get started here, just want to mention that these are not spoiler-free videos. I'm just going to be talking about the first two episodes, the Into the Breach parts 1 and 2, opening up season 2 of Star Trek Prodigy, the long-awaited and anticipated release of the second season of a show that really surprised me in season 1 with how well it turned out and how well it captured the feeling of Star Trek, especially in the second half of that first season. And just the bits and pieces coming out as this season was in production, and now that it's been out in France for a little while too, just a little bit that I've heard has me really excited to dig into this because it sounds like it's going to be even better in season 2. At one point, Dal says it feels good to see everybody again, and it certainly does. Opening up with our crew minus Gwendala at Starfleet Academy when they get a message that they are needed for an assignment, and they are greeted by the Doctor. Great to see another Voyager character make an appearance, and also looks to be a regular on the show as they join Janeway on the Voyager A. Really exciting to see that ship up close and get into the innards of the new Voyager, and they are being sent on a mission. A little bit of information comes out, little bits and pieces here and there that I really like the way they handled nods to previous Trek, and also little tidbits that really kind of place it in the timeline of this new era of Star Trek, with mentioning that the Voyager A is one of the ships being sent, as a large portion of the fleet is helping with the evacuation of Romulus, tied into Star Trek Picard, and kind of giving you little bits and pieces here and there of the broader world that this takes place in. They're excited for this assignment, but not all is quite as they expected. When they first board the Voyager A, Janeway is very standoffish, and they begin to think that there is something being kept from them, and they learn of a secretive Shuttle Bay 3, where our intrepid group of cadets lets curiosity override their better judgment, as is frequently how they end up on many of their adventures, and they discover a hidden cloaked vessel called the Infinity, and learn that Admiral Jellicoe is behind the possible cancellation of a classified mission to rescue Chakotay. The mission up front is just to investigate this temporal anomaly, and the secret mission is to possibly venture in and try and rescue Chakotay. Then episode 2, part 2 of this premiere of the season, we then switch to Gwendala, who arrives on the home planet that she's never known, on a mission to ease first contact with the Federation and prevent the future destruction of her people. Such a heavy mission, and you really get the sense of this stress she's feeling, but how much she is driven to accomplish this seemingly impossible feat. Really recognizing the importance, but as soon as her mission begins, it seems to instantly fail, as a familiar foe has beaten her to the punch and has already convinced them of the dangers of people from other worlds, and that she is a spy for the Federation. She narrowly escapes, but then the transport and its pilot are destroyed, leaving her stranded and alone. Gwendala eventually finds her father, a very different man from the one that she knew, and starts her struggle to navigate a society she feels pulled to, yet she feels alien within, and is very hostile to her mission, and she begins to search for a way to at least get her people to listen to what she has to say, just to even be able to have an attempt to start her mission, which she seems prevented from. The Voyager A then arrives at the unstable time rift from which Chakotay's SOS was transmitted, and the details of the mission are revealed, and the quest to save Chakotay can begin, but not before our gang finds themselves at odds with members of Nova Squad. I thought that Prodigy's second season is off to a fantastic start. I just finished watching those 2 episodes, kind of doing these in the same vein as I typically do for this, no kind of script, or just immediately my gut reaction right after watching them. My gut reaction is that these were fantastic. It's a great start that promises an incredible adventure and a story of second chances and finding one's way to a better future, and that feels very Star Trek. And I think it has already, within these first less than an hour, you put the two episodes together, starts the season off on a level of quality that is already equal to the best of season one. So my expectations are really high for the rest of the season. Don't let the kitty CG art style fool you, even though there are some beautiful shots. It very much is in that vein because it is primarily aimed at a younger audience. And yet, the quality of the writing leaves enough fascination and enough complexity and little bits and pieces here or there for people who have experience with Star Trek to really keep the attention of an adult audience. And it really feels like it is true Star Trek at its core. It still keeps that alive. And Prodigy is the closest thing to a Voyager sequel we'll ever see on screen. We had many, many years of, in the original Star Trek timeline through the books, of seeing what happened to everyone with Voyager, but we'll never see any of that on screen. So in this new era of Trek, Prodigy is the closest we're going to get to a sequel to Voyager. So if you're watching us for some reason, you still haven't watched Prodigy, I don't know why you'd be watching this, but if you are, give it a shot if you are a fan of Star Trek Voyager. Because while it is a show that is geared towards kids, as I said, it's also fantastic for adults, and especially if you are a fan of Voyager and want to see a semi-sequel to that. It plays that well while also being its own thing. It kind of handles both. And in this second season, it still keeps that Voyager sequel vibe alive. It tries to keep that in mind while still being a perfect introduction to Star Trek for a whole new generation. So I'm very happy with how things have started off. I'm excited to start watching the rest of the season, and I'll be posting these videos up as I watch them. And again, as I said on the community page a while ago, I'm not going to be binging these. I want to kind of take my time and enjoy them. But every time I watch, whether it's one episode or two or three, whatever I happen to watch, whenever I'm done and hit pause or stop, I'm going to come on here on my mic and just record my thoughts for those episodes. So no set schedule for these reviews. And I'd love to hear if you have been watching, what you think of these first two episodes.